Hey, Facebook family and friends. This is T. Hatchett of the Hatchett Chronicles coming to you for another session of Hatchett Chronicles, reading my book, The Power of God. I am not going to have a senior moment, okay? The reason why I'm saying that is because the last time I was on here, my sister called me and said that I was having a senior moment, which I probably was, but still, and she made me feel some kind of way. So today I'm not going to have a senior moment. We're just going to do the Hatchet Chronicles. So let's get started. First of all, I have my cup from my mother-in-law that she bought me on Christmas, and because I'm her favorite, I'm using it. And guys, I was thinking, in the wintertime, I had hot tea in it, but the weather is breaking. As y'all can see, the sun is shining through the window. And I'm thinking I can't be drinking hot stuff when it's summertime and it's hot outside. So what am I going to do? So what I did was, and here's a little tidbit. You know what's good for you? Lemon juice. Lemon juice and with water in it. You get you some water and put a little bit of lemon juice in it. And lemon water is very good for you. And so I figured I would have me some lemon water this time. So instead of the tea. And it is very good. Okay. And let's do our shout outs or our little plugs for everybody. Okay. What is my husband doing? My husband is currently in the studio right now, and he's working on a couple of projects. I know I keep saying that, and I know I keep saying coming soon, but it really is. He's going to be doing training on beat making for beginners, and that is coming. It's just, my husband is the only producer that's in this house under Untapped Talent. What that means is that Untapped Talent Recordings is our record label. And because we have moved to Georgia, we don't have a junior producer or anything like that. So all the work he has to do is sell. So that kind of he's trying to make beats for people and produce for people and record for people and then do work on his other projects that he has. And so, as you can imagine, he gets a little caught up with things. So when I say that he has another project in the works and I say coming soon, and I keep saying coming soon, and you're like, well, you keep saying coming soon, when is it coming? It's because he has so much that he's working on, and he wants to take his time and do it right. So it takes a little bit of time, but trust me when I say that beat making for beginners is coming soon. It's just along with all the other projects he's got going on. So that's what he's doing. Me, I am still writing my second book. Like I said before, that is going to be a while because it's harder writing the second one than it is the first one. My sister Valerie is still working on her web series, so she's still taping that and everything. That's still coming. Also, my sister Valerie is a speaker. She is a wonderful speaker. So if anybody who's having an event and looking for a speaker for any of their events, she speaks on health, family and services, single mothers, she speaks on a lot. Let's see. Anyone who's been abused, low income families, just give us a call if you have an event and either reach out to me or to her. You can reach her either on Valerie McAllister on Facebook. Look for her up, and she also has a Instagram is Valerie McAllister. She has a website, Generational Words LLC. No, I'm sorry. Generationalwords@gmail.com is her website. Wait, is that right? No, generationalword@gmail.com. That's the email. The website is Generational Words, Wick Generational Words. You can find it on Wick. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah. To be on the safe side, just to generationalwords@gmail.com is the email address, or just reach out to her on Facebook or Instagram, or reach out to me. That simplifies that. I think I was having another senior moment, guys. Anyway, so let me see. Is that it for the tags, the plugs? I think that's it. That's all we're doing. Now we're going to begin reading chapter 3 of The Power of God. Oh, no, there is one more thing. I want to shout out. I did a challenge, and the challenge is still going on. I challenged 5 guys for the BKCBQ challenge. And what that is Black Kings covering Black Queens challenge. Because, as I said last week on the Hatchett Chronicles, I did a little short Hatchett Chronicles about how we need our Black men to come together and covering us, because we're not feeling it. My sister Val was just on Facebook talking about how she needed her blinds. She's a single woman and she needed her blinds up, but the guys that she was dating wasn't thinking about helping her, like put up her blinds or put a light bulb in or anything like that. They just wanted what they wanted, and that was it. So that kind of went in with the BKCBQ challenge that I had going on, because I had just spoke about how I needed my brakes fixed, or something was wrong with the brake line, and the Black men was just like, there wasn't any help, and it made me feel like, what if I was your mother out here driving with no brakes, or your little sister, would you want that? So that's how I started the BKCBQ challenge. Now, I started it challenging 5 guys, and then I asked those 5 guys to, once they had committed to the challenge, once they have done the challenge, then to get 5 other guys to do the challenge. And I just have to shout out, first of all, I have to shout out Michael Bullock, because not only did he do the challenge, but he on Facebook, he reached out to me and let me know that he was right in the process of doing it. He, Black Queen that he didn't know, he bought her groceries for her. He was in the grocery store, and he actually reached out to me on Facebook and said, I am buying a Black Queen that I don't know groceries. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what we're looking for. And although the 5 Black Kings that I picked, I had no worry about them doing the challenge, because I picked 5 Black Kings that are covering, that already does that without you even asking. And I was hoping that it would spread to others. So I had no doubt. I wasn't surprised that he did it. It's just that I want to shout them out. And I told him, don't forget to ask 5 other Black Kings to do the same. Because this is a call for our Black Kings to really help uncover it. Make us feel like the Black Queens that we are. Guys, what's going on? Where are you? Why should my sister have to get on the Facebook and rant and rave for about a good 15 minutes about her blinds, can't get her blinds put up? And as she said, and as I said, we are strong women. We're used to doing things ourselves. And if we can do it, we'll do it. But when you can't do it, it's nice to know that there are, Black Kings there that'll come to our rescue. And so, we're having a call for them. So that being said, if you know 5 black kings that you want to challenge, call them out and challenge them. And ask them after they do the challenge to ask 5 other black kings to do the challenge. I would like this to go nationwide. So I'm gonna speak about it every time I get on Hatchett Chronicles, because that's something very important to me and near and dear to my heart. Okay, that being said, let's get to chapter 3. Chapter 3 is called He Is Always With Me, which is the subject of today's subject is He is always with us. Because, when we're in the midst of our stuff, and first of all, we're blind. And when we're in the midst of our stuff, our mess, we don't see, anything past our mess. So, of course, we don't feel like God is with us because we're in the midst of our mess. So, this chapter reads as, Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, that comfort me. Psalms 23:4. Many spiritual people seem to know and love Psalms 23. Most say that it is their favorite Bible passage. I too know and love it. Psalms 23:4 resonates in me more than any other passage. It seems to speak to my soul. I think it is because I know now God has to be with me, or else I wouldn't be here today. I sure had a way of putting myself in the path of danger and destruction. I was so determined to be with my mother. Those that know me know or understand how I am. When I put my mind to something, come hell or high water, I am going to make it happen. During those days, there was no trust in God or myself. Honestly, to hear Psalms 23:4 back then was foreign to me. It was like saying to me, if a tree fell in the forest and no one is around, would it still make a sound? Both proverbs sounded silly to me back then. I felt they were not worth asking. My thoughts was, who cares if a tree make a sound if you're not around anyway to hear it? I questioned if I would still fear evil if I didn't believe in God. I questioned the point of believing if I would still have fear. My question sounded dark and wicked, but I was in a dark and wicked place. I could not see God or the blessings that He was bestowing upon me. But God, He kept on watching over me. I looked back and realized what a full-time job it was. When I think back to those times, it makes me shout out and say, I should be dead in my grave, but God saved a wretch like me. Thank you, Jesus. A few months after my mother had passed, a new guy started at my job. It's surprising I had a job as reckless as I was living. It goes back to my need to be in control. I feel like money was a key to being in control. I learned I needed a job in order to have money. Keeping a job kept money in my pocket, enabling me to go and come as I pleased. Tommy Parsons was the new guy's name. He was a fine piece of candy. Candy was what I thought of all men back then. I felt that there was so many flavors and types, and I needed to taste every new flavor. Most of the time, I would discover the new flavor wasn't good for me. It would hurt my stomach, and I had to throw it away. I have always been the type to try something, even when I knew it wasn't good for me. This was especially true when it came to men. Women are not usually the ones to speak of the opposite sex in such a materialistic manner. Men are usually the ones with the stigma of going through women like water. I guess I was of a different breed. I don't feel it's that unusual. It's just my opinion. But just because you don't hear it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I know for a fact it's all up and through the women in my family. We won't name drop because some of them might not know God. Since I would be committing the sin of gossiping, God might not save me from the beatdown. So we will leave that subject right there and get back to the fine piece of candy called Tommy. Tommy was a fine piece of candy. I definitely wanted to try. I knew nothing about Tommy. I didn't know important facts like he was a father of 6 children and had a wife. I wasn't even concerned about those important facts. All I was concerned with was trying out this fine piece of candy's flavor. It was obvious that he felt the same way about me, so right away we started acting on our crazy impulses. Tommy was very loving, attentive, and sweet. He had a way of making me feel special. He made me feel like I was the smartest, most beautiful woman on the planet. The way Tommy made me feel on the surface helped to shield the way I felt on the inside. Unfortunately, that stopped me from checking the ingredients in this candy. I failed to be aware of any allergies I might have to it. My reckless behavior led me to discover this candy was bad for me the hard way. I went to pick Tommy up from his apartment. He had given me the address when I called to tell him I would pick him up. I guess Tommy didn't think it was a bad idea to give me an address where he lived with his wife and kids. He must have been just as crazy and lost as I was. I guess the saying is right, birds of a feather flock together. I arrived at Tommy's apartment, discovered it belonged to Tommy, his wife, and children. I discovered this through a strange guy, who I later found out was Tommy's brother, standing outside under an apartment window laughing. The guy was eavesdropping on a couple having a big argument. The apartment window was Tommy's apartment. I sit in my car feeling disappointed. I didn't know the entire situation at that moment. I just had a feeling that my fun with Tommy was over. I took a deep breath, got out the car, and walked over to the guy. He looked at me, shook his head before saying, "Damn, you are definitely worth that fight. I would have done it differently." Suddenly, the disappointing feeling inside of me was replaced with a newfound excitement. I had found a new candy flavor. My inquisitive nature took over. I questioned this stranger on how he would have done it differently. As screwed up as it was, I had forgotten all about my disappointment of being with Tommy anymore. I was not concerned that the guy I had been screwing around with for a month had a family. I was not concerned that this stranger knew all about my affair with Tommy. I wasn't even concerned that Tommy's wife might want to come outside and fight me. My concern was all about this new flavor of candy that I wanted to try. This new candy had already piqued my curiosity with his statement. I was always attracted to candy that was sure of themselves. I was curious to know why he thought he was a better flavor of candy. This particular candy's name was Terrell. When I asked the question, Terrell responded back by saying, "Let's go have a drink and I will tell you." He could have had a wife and kids somewhere too. I didn't even think about the fact that it was only 3 p.m. on a Saturday. Who starts drinking alcohol that early? I won't even mention that I was pregnant because that was never a concern in my reckless life. My feelings was of excitement about discovering a new flavor of candy. We jumped in my car and went around the corner to the local bar. Once there, we drank and played pool. Terrell told me all about Tommy, which happened to be his younger brother. He told me all about Tommy's wife and his 6 kids. Terrell seemed to be very honest because he also told me all about himself. I felt what he was saying about himself had to be true. Who would make up a story about being a pimp? It certainly wouldn't be a great selling point if you were trying to get a woman. I was so intrigued with Terrell's world. I decided I wanted to be a part of it, so I became a pimp too. Terrell taught me all about being a pimp. He also taught me the pimp language. He taught me what bottom B meant. The B, you must add an itch to it. It means the pimp main chick or main prostitute, the one at the higher level than the others. She might live with the pimp. The pimp usually likes her better and she gets extra perks. She might not have to work as hard as the other prostitutes. She also would be in charge of the others. She would be what's known as a manager in the corporate world. Terrell then told me all about his bottom B. He said she had stolen his money and ran to another city. He confessed to me he made the mistake of falling in love with her. He wasn't mad at her, he just wanted her back. Terrell asked me if I if I would help him find her and bring her back. I was pregnant, 7 months to be precise. I had no thought of it might not be a good idea or situation for my unborn child. Why would there be a thought of that? It hasn't been thus far. My response was, let's go. We jumped in my car and headed to where Terrell thought she was. I believe every state has a city or area that is run down and scary looking. This place was worse than anyone could imagine. It looked like a stray dog would be scared to run through it at night. We arrived at a rundown 10-story apartment building. The apartment building looked like only crackheads and prostitutes stayed there, which happened to be true to what it looked like. There was two big mean goons looking guys standing in the door. Obviously, they did not like the way Terrell looked. They didn't seem to want to let him in. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. I knew I wasn't going to tolerate them treating Terrell like that. I jumped out the car with my big belly, no feelings of fear, and most importantly, no weapon. I said a few choice words to them, words that, because of my spiritual belief, I no longer speak. Therefore, I will not write them either. I will say it boiled down to them having a choice. They could move out the way, or they could have precious body parts removed and shoved down their throats in a very vicious and vile way. I look back and say, God is real. These two big scary dudes did not shoot at me. They did not take Terrell and beat me with him. I had no gun. I was just some little big stomach young girl. But God. These guys looked at me and moved out the way so Terrell entered. What is more amazing is my dumb behind followed Terrell into the apartment building. I had no thoughts of it being a bad idea to turn my back on these scary looking guys. I didn't even think it could be a trap. They could have let us in and then killed us afterwards. Terrell and I went floor to floor until we found Terrell's bottom B. I threatened her about leaving him again. We dragged her butt out of there and started our journey back to our city. To this day, I shout about that particular incident because I know God was with me. I went in that building, but I didn't have to come out. God continued on with my stupid behind on this reckless journey. On the way back, my car broke down on a highway. It was in a town where the police officers had a reputation for not being very nice. There also were illegal things in the car that wouldn't have been good on us if a police officer had discovered them. Once again, I was on a mission of destruction. The officer warned me that I couldn't leave the car in that particular spot. I picked this incident to think about my unborn child. Unfortunately, it was not in a good way. I told the officer, not in a nice way or nice words, that I was 7 months pregnant. I wasn't moving nothing. I told him if he wanted it moved, he could move it himself. Once again, I walked away without a scar and most importantly, with my life. That wasn't even the end of God's miracle. The car didn't get towed. It was still there a couple of days later when Terrell went to get it. He somehow got it working and was able to drive it back to our town. He ended up parking it in front of his house. Thinking back, the story sounds so far-fetched. It sounds like some cheesy movie. If it didn't happen to me, I would not believe it myself. Then again, knowing God the way I do now, I would believe it. I have been in some dangerous places. I have did some reckless things. I have dealt with some dangerous people. I now know that God is always with us, even in our mess. You can walk through the worst fires. God will walk with you. God will shield you from being burnt. He tells us this in the book of Daniel 6 when he tells us about three boys by the name of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The Bible is not just stories. It is God's word that we have the same power that the ones in the Bible had. It means God get us. It doesn't matter if we don't know, or in my case, just plain stupid. God will not let go of us. Numbers 23:19 tells us, God is not a man that he shall lie, neither the son of man that he repent. Has he said, shall he not do? Or has he spoken, shall he not make it good? And that's the end of chapter 3. You know, in writing that chapter and even reading it back, it makes me feel, because I know that God is real. And he was with me. Because at that time, if we go back, at that time, I was on my don't believe in God. There's no God because my mom had passed. And there can't be a God because he knew how important my mom was and he wouldn't take my mom from me. So there's no God and I got to travel through this life by myself and make things happen for me. And when I look back, all the situations that I've been in, that I could have been dead, guys. It don't even make sense how I survived some of the things that I put myself in. It's not even I'm going to say that I got into by mistake. I put myself in it because, again, I was on a path of destruction. And like I said in the book, it doesn't even sound real to me. It sounds so far-fetched. The only thing that makes me know that it was real is because I know that God is real. Who does that? I was 7 months pregnant, guys, and I was big, and I'm in the worst of the worst neighborhood with two God only knows type guys. And I'm cursing at them and threatening their life, and nothing happens to me. Nothing. That is God. That's like we wake up every day because of God, because we don't have to. And even though I had denounced God, and even though I said that, there's no God, and I was living reckless and doing reckless things, God was still there with me every step of the way. Every step of the way. I'm meeting people that could be killers. Jumping in the car with them, listening to their story, going here, doing reckless there, and I'm still here. And not only is God so good that he was walking with me, but he was protecting me and making sure that because remember, I was in the streets. So that car was where I slept. That car was where my clothes was. So had that car got towed, I would have had nothing and had to depend on living somewhere else or going back to the house that I ran from. But yet God made sure that he had the provisions for me. He made sure that even though I was being stupid and reckless, that I still had the provisions. He had his angels there watching the car so it wouldn't be towed. He had his angels there making sure that the cop, because by right, understand, I was with Richmond Police Department headquarters for 5 years, I think. And I know the procedures, by right, that car, he had every right to look in that car, search that car. Because these days in time, they would have made up something to search the car, And we could have been in jail. Or if we were really in these days and time, we could have been dead, because let me tell you, that was a town that did not play, and they were known for not liking this color. And and I didn't put it in the book, but um, the bottom B that Terrell had was a white girl. So, there was all kinds of things there that I look back on that I shouldn't have been here. Something should have happened to me. I should have been in jail, dead, shot. Something should have happened to me, but it didn't. And not only didn't it not happen to me, but it didn't happen to my car either. So, when I say that when you're in your mess, that you can't see that God is with you, I know that when you're in your mess, you don't see anything but that mess, because that mess is so powerful and so filling that you can't see. It's like a person that's a hoard, a person that house is full of. They might collect newspapers or whatever, and the house is so filled up with stuff that they can't see. They can't see the door. They can't see the windows. Well, when we're in our mess, that's how we are. We're like a house filled up with a bunch of junk. That we're so filled up with our mess that we can't see out the window. We can't see where the door is. We can't see the floor because we're so filled up with our mess. But God, I am so glad that I know him, and I'm so glad that he didn't give up on me, and that he was there with me. And that's the lesson for today, that we got to know that God is with us. God is wonderful. Because I'll be honest with you, the past few months, my family, my husband and I, we've been going through. But the difference is that we see God and we know God, and we had our ups and downs days, but for the most part, we knew God was there with us, and we kept the faith, and he is riding us through. When I tell you that God is riding us through, and he's been with us every step of the way, he's been with us every step of the way, and he's been taking us through it. So for those who are going through, my comfort word for you is hold on and have to keep your faith, because God is there with you. Even though it don't feel like it might not seem like it, he there. I always use the example of when the car, you're in the middle of the street and people say, well, God is with you, have faith, but all you see is that car coming towards you. That's all you can see is, but the car is almost getting ready to hit me. And I think the important lesson is that the reason why we have that fear is not because we don't have the faith, but we're afraid of the hurt of the car hitting us. And what I say to that is that even if that car hits you, you're not going to feel it. It goes back to Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. It goes back to them. They walked through fire. And they came out without a scorch, without smelling like smoke, without being burnt. It's because they wasn't afraid to walk through that fire, because they knew God was with them. And God promises us that we might go through the fire, but we're not going to feel it. And so for the most part, when we have faith, we're going through something or get ready to go through something, it's not so much that we don't believe that God is there with us. We're worried about the hurt of it. we don't want to go through it because of the hurt of it, because of the damages it would do. Like financial, if you're going through a financial thing, it's like, well, I'm afraid that I will get kicked out. I believe in God, but I don't want to get kicked out. That's the thing with paying our tithes. A lot of people, it's like, it's not that they don't have faith enough to pay their tithes. What the problem is that, well, I need that money for my electric bill because I don't want my electric to get turned off. And if we look at it in a different way, if we look at it that even if our electric gets turned off, we won't feel it. We'll still have light. Or if we look at it is that, I always look at it like this. If, let's say you're going through a financial situation. Let's say it's your light bill. Let's say you need $600 for your light bill, and you don't have that $600, and you're praying for that $600 so that your lights won't get turned off, and you don't get the $600, and your lights get turned off, and you're like, well, God, where was you? Know I didn't want my lights. Now I'm without lights. I'm in the dark. You have to look at it like this. Sometimes God will put you in the dark so that he could bring you through the light. Sometimes we go through stuff so that we can be a blessing, not just to others, but to ourselves. Because sometimes, like I said, we're so full with our mess that we can't even see past our mess. So sometimes God wants us to stop and stand still so that we can hear him. And if we're so cluttered with our mess and what's going with us, we don't stop to listen to what God is telling us or what he has to say to us or telling us the way out of our mess, because we're consumed with the fear of our mess. We're consumed with the fear of the hurt and the damage that the mess is going to cause. That we're not even stopping to hear God tell us which way to go or how to get out that mess. So that being said, what I'm saying that is when you're going through something, the best thing to do is stop. When you've done all that you can do, stop and stand still. And that's a scary thing. That's easier said than done. It's easy to say, have faith, just stop, let go, let go and let God. Because you hear people say, let go and let God. Pray on it. It's going to be all right. But when you're in something, you don't want to hear that. And that's the honest truth. You do not want to hear that. It's like, I hear you. Yeah, I believe in God, but I'm in this right now. You don't understand. Cards get ready to hit me, and it's gonna hurt, and I don't want it to hurt. And you're so concentrated on that, you ain't thinking about, okay, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna let go and I'm gonna let God do what he gonna do. You ain't thinking about that. You thinking about God is, I'm getting ready to get hurt. I hear you, God. I hear what you're saying, but I'm getting ready to get hurt, and that's all I'm caring about, getting hurt. So we have to practice that. We have to work on that. And believe me, I know like I said, I was a minister, ordained minister for 9 years. And still going through mess, still like not trusting God. And I was ordained minister. And for most people probably think, well, how you gonna be an ordained minister and minister to people, and you going through mess, and you don't even believe what you minister. That's the point. That's the point right there. God had to take me through some changes. I had to go through steps like everybody else. But what I also say is that I always say that, the difference between me and my congregation is just the devil mess with me harder. That's the only difference. So I go through stuff too, and I had to go through, and I had to learn, and I had to go through those steps. And when things got bad, even as an ordained minister, I still was like, Oh, I still panicked and I still was like, I trust God, but I'm going through this. This car get ready to hit me and I don't want to feel it. But gradually, God worked with me. And he never gave up on me. He worked with me. And gradually, I began to see and I began to understand. Because when there's nothing else, when everything else is gone and you don't have no other choice but to stop and listen to God, because God will do that. He will let you go through your mess, let you get hurt, let you get beat up, let you get knocked down. And when you don't have no other choice but to, I surrender. And that's really what happened to me. It came to the point where, you know what, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick of getting beat by my father. I surrendered. Look, do it, because it can't get no worse. I might as well try you. You know that song, Try Me? You get to that point. It's like, you know what? I might as well try you, because I done hit bottom. There ain't no further I can go. Let me just see. Let me stop and listen and see what you got to say. How you going to get me out of this? And I came to that point where, you know what, God, listen. Do with me what you will, because obviously what I'm doing is not working. So you go ahead and do it. I'll just sit here and watch you. And what I found in that moment is, hey, you was doing your stuff all along. I was just not listening. I just chose to run that way. Hey, okay, well, you might have a point here, God. So, like I said, we all go through it, but there come to a point where it's like we stop and we listen. So when you're going through and you feel like, I guess the word is desperate. A friend of mine told me one time, don't ever get in a situation where you're so desperate that you settle for anything. And honestly, we're not really friends. Well, we're not speaking. I won't say we won't. We're not friends right now. We're not speaking right now because she did something that was really, really not very nice to me. And although I'm a kind-hearted person, I'm not a fool. So I don't give people a second chance to hurt me. I forgive them, but I treat them kind of like at hand's length. When you show me who you are, that's how I'm going to treat you. But there was a season. I believe there's a season for people coming in your life. I believe there's a season for everything. So I don't disregard the season that she was in my life and what I took from that season, what God placed for me to have in that season, I should say. So those words I really always resonate with me, because I try not to get in a situation where I'm so desperate that I give of myself what I don't have to. And what that means is, for instance, there was a time where we needed a place to stay. And I was so desperate, I took a house that I really shouldn't have taken. And the reason why I took that house is because, honestly, I forgot about my faith in God. And I didn't want to be on the street. I didn't want to be homeless. And I didn't want my husband to be homeless. And so I was desperate. And that was wrong. What the right thing should have been to do was wait on God and trust in God and let Him give me what was for me. You hear that saying, what's for you is for you. That is so true. When we get desperate, we don't see or hear God. And we do things that might not be good for us. Now, God brought us through that also. But what I'm saying is we never had to take that road. It's like when God led His people out and they had to stay in the forest for 40 days and 40 nights. They were in the forest for 40 days and 40 nights because they got desperate. And they stopped having faith in God. They were so full in their mess and like, we got to get here. We're lost in the forest. We got to get there. It could have took them a day to get to the promised land, but they got desperate. They started worrying about being hungry and dying out there, and nobody, only God knew where they were going. They didn't know where they were going, so that made them nervous that they didn't know where they was going. So because they didn't know where they was going and they didn't have the answers for things, they started to complain, which led them to be out there 40 days and 40 nights. Again, I said, God will let you be in your mess. He'll let you go get beat down to teach you something. Hey, baby, my sister Val is on. That's how he teaches you. So what we have to do, again, I say it's not easy when you're going to just have faith. It's hard sometimes. It's hard to just stand still and say, okay, I'm going to let God do it. It is very hard. It takes practice. It just takes practice. And each time you get better and better. Like I said, I had said in the first one of reading the book, the first and second one, how when I first started out, when God first called me, it took me 2 years. I ran for 2 years. And then he finally pushed me up. When he told me to write this book, it took me 6 months. You see, I'm getting closer and closer because it's a practice. It's like anything else, you practice and you get better at it. We're always striving to be on the right hand, to sit on the right hand of God. So what that means is it's practice. The first time you're not going to have faith. You're going to see that car coming. It's going to hurt. You're going to be worried about the hurt. The second time, and you probably worry all the way up to the incident, and God will pull you through. The second time, you at least think about it, and your worry will cut. You worry a little less. The third time, you might not jump. You might, flinch a little, but you might not jump. Then the fourth time, your face might get crooked, but you might not flinch. You just sit there. By the fifth time, you standing there and say, I ain't worried about it. The car hit me. It's still okay. God still got it. So it's a practice. You don't just come out and I'm going to stand and believe in God. Not even me. Like I said, I was a minister. I've been a minister for some years now. And not even me is like, I didn't come running out the gate like that. No, it took me I am 54 years old, and it took me every bit of the 54 years to be at this point where I'm good now. I know God got it. But trust me, I done went through some trenches to get there. This book, The Power of God, what I'm reading to you, this is just a tad bit of the trenches that I had to go through to realize that God got me, that he's been there all along. And speaking of that, to even say that, even when I was writing this book, I wrote this book a couple of years ago, 53. Yeah, 53. Last year I wrote this book. Even writing this book, when I was putting the words down, I was realizing at that time, like, really? Wow, God was there at the, I was just now realizing it at 53, some of the things that he was there for me for. So, it's, like I said, it's a practice, but just keep the faith. That keeping the faith is not even about, jumping out and being like, okay, God, handle. That keeping the faith is know that I know. I'm going to keep on practicing till I get it right. I'm going to keep on doing till I listen to God totally. Until, when he tells me to do something, I do it right away. Because honestly, I'm not even there on that yet. I told y'all this Hatchett Chronicles, reading the book, that took me a couple of weeks. But I'm getting closer. So the next time when he tells me to do something, maybe I'll be able to do it at the drop of a hat. I'll start listening. I'm still working on that. 54 years old. So it's never too late. But if there's one thing that I know, that when I do get in my mess, like I said, I've been going through my husband and I have been going through something for the last couple of months. What I have learned is okay, God, you got it. I'm going to let you handle it. I don't know what's going to happen, but my father got it. Talk to him because I can't help you. That's where I am now. And that's the joy. That's when it said don't let nobody steal your joy, that joy right there, that's some good joy right there. When you could just be like, hey, you know what? I ain't got $600 for that electric bill. Might want to talk to my father. Instead of oh God, it's well, Lord, I don't know what you're gonna do, but handle that. Because that's not my department. Talk to my father. That's a good feeling right there. And this smile that you see when I say that's authentic, y'all. That is for real. It feels good to be able to be at that point, especially some of the stuff that I done did and where I come from. It feels good to say that God is real. He is there for me, and I don't have a worry, regardless of what goes on. Speaking of worry, we talk about what is that? The SARS virus or coronavirus or whatever that virus is there. And even with Trump and his mess, none of that bothers me. Now I'm in the fight for our people. Like I said, I have the BKC BQ challenge. That's real for me because I'm fighting for our people. And what God put on my heart to do, I do. But this other mess, I'm not worried because guess what? I know who my father is. And he gonna make a way. He gonna make a way out of no way. And I believe in doing what needs to be done, what is required of me. Like for instance, we need to vote. We need to stand for this cause, stand for this cause. We need to talk about this cause and put some action in this cause. Let's do it. But the real deal is what's going to happen. It's all going to happen. And the end result is my father has the last say so. And so I know that. And I'm good with that. I'm not going to I'm not going to let things stress me out and worry me. Because it's not going to do any good anyway. I'm going to do what I got to do, and I'm going to leave the rest to God. When you've done all you can do, you stand and leave the rest to God. However, you got to be willing to listen to God. And I say that because God just put that on my heart, because that's my sister Valerie is online. And I'm thinking about God has shown her some things that she's supposed to be leaping. And so I think that message was for her. It's time for her to leap. But like most people, we let our flesh, get in our way, and we're afraid to take that leap because we're afraid to fall. We're afraid of breaking a bone. We're afraid of the hurt that it's going to cause. But God placed on my heart, Valley, take that leap. Because if he's telling you to take the leap, that means that when you jump, he's going to put a mattress or something down there. You're not going to break no bones, and you're not going to hurt yourself. No matter how deep that fall might be. He got your back because he told you to take it. So the only thing you can do is take it. So, that being said, this was a good, and I gotta tell y'all, I came late today because I was behind in schedule. Most people who know me, sometimes I don't sleep at night because of my husband, because of me, because I'm old. Anyway, so I was a little late because I slept a little longer. I had some things to do, but I got them done. This was a beautiful day today. And so I didn't come on exactly at 6 o'clock as talk about. And y'all know, if y'all notice, I am trying to be more consistent with the Hatchett Chronicles. So I appreciate y'all's support. And I really appreciate that y'all are still with me and bearing with me through me being more consistent. So thank you for that. But I didn't get on here at 6 o'clock, and my subject was, and this is God. I'm saying this is how good God is. I prepare before I get on Hatchet Chronicles. I read the chapter over and I think of a subject for it, and I start talking about it. And I told my sister, and I was like, oh my God, it's almost 6 o'clock. I'm not prepared. I didn't read the subject. I don't know what the subject is. And don't you know, as soon as I got on, that was my first time picking up my book since last Sunday, or the last time I was on. And God automatically placed it was right there, chapter 3. That was the subject. God is with us. And so God is so good. I just want to praise him because he just, sometimes you don't have to do nothing. Yeah, it's nothing to worry about. It's like God just does. And so thank you, Lord. Thank you for being there and being just a blessing to us. And I thank you for this Hatchet Chronicles. And I thank you guys for supporting me. I love you guys. Everybody that's on, thank you. I know my sister Ann is on, but I'm just going to put it out there. Don't be mad at me, but she's a little non-technical, to put it nicely, for lack of a better word. So she don't know how to respond, but I know that she's there. So I'm just happy that she's there. Thank you, sister. Even though I'm not speaking to her today. I'm not talking to anybody in the house today. I'm just in my way today. But anyway, that's another subject. So again, thank you for joining me for this Hatchet Chronicles. Just putting in the plugs again. Look out for my husband's beat making for beginners. He's giving away the first 35 people that sign. It's $35 for the class. First 35 people that sign will get a beat sound package, 1,000 sounds. He has other things coming out, and don't start me lying because I can't remember. I don't want to have a senior moment because my sister Valerie will call me on there and say, you was having a senior moment again on there. So just look out for him. GL. He has some things coming out. Okay. Me, I'm working on my second book. It's going to be a while. It probably won't be until 2021, to be honest with you. Maybe not. I don't know where God leads my heart, but the way I'm going, it looks like 2021 before this book is going to be completed. But who knows what God has for me. Next week, chapter 4. Chapter 4 is kind of long, so I won't be reading the whole chapter. I will be reading. I'm going to prepare ahead of time and try to read, come up with a subject and read important parts, whatever God leads to put on my heart. My sister Valerie is doing her web series, and if anybody has an event that needs a speaker, my sister Valerie is available. You can reach her at Valerie McAllister on Facebook or Instagram. Generational words at gmail.com is the business email, her business email. Or you can reach out to me. You can IM her or you can IM me. And when I say guys, really, and I'm not saying this because she's my sister, but I heard one of her, she spoke at, I think, AT&T or something like that, and I knew the story, okay, and it still impacted me. That's how powerful when she speaks it is, and that's amazing to me because it's like, when you already know what somebody's going to say, or you already know the story, or you was with her doing the story, it shouldn't you've been there, done that, so it shouldn't impact you. But it still impacted me. Like I didn't know. So she's good at what she does. Let's just put it that way, okay? So guys, if you have an event and you need a speaker, get in touch with me or her. Reach out to us. Um, keep tabs on her. She on her Facebook. She does a lot of things on Facebook too. She talks on Facebook a lot more than I do. So go to her Facebook page and check out. She has a lot of things to say. Also, BKCBQ, the Black Queen, the Black Kings covering the Black Queens Challenge. It's real, guys. We're calling on you. We need you. So I have my 5 that I challenge, but if anybody else want to pick up the challenge, pick it up, because I will be coming on periodically, like next week and the week after that. I want y'all to spread that. We need that to go national. We really, really need our Black Kings, guys. Come on, come back to the way y'all used to be. Come back to covering us. If you see a Black queen out on the street struggling, help her out. You ain't got to know her, help her out. You ain't got to get no booty, okay? You ain't got to just help her out. Think of it as if it was your mother or your sister or your female cousin, Help her out. Help a sister out. Come on now. We can do better. We are better. We are kings and queens. We are royalty. Stop being mind screwed. Okay? Open up. Wake up to where we used to be. That's a whole nother subject, because today me and my husband, which maybe I'll deal with that next week, but me and my husband got on a subject about how our Black queens are on this level with let me tell you real quick. I ain't gonna go into it, but I was at the store yesterday and there was this Black queen in front of me and she had braids and she did this. And so now, this is my opinion, so I know people may have a lot to say about this, but here's the thing. When did we become brainwashed that we had to? I remember when I was young, when I was a teenager, if a Caucasian person flipped their hair and I was in back of it, we was ready to fight. We was ready to beat them down. We have become so brainwashed and so closed that we're on doing this to our hair and swinging our hair. What happened to us being proud of who we are and going back to who we are? And yes, I'm tying this into the Black King because you are a part of the problem. You have put us to where we care about our appearance to you. So we got to get the weaves, and ain't nothing wrong with a weave. I ain't saying nothing wrong with the weave or the straight hair and stuff, but this swinging our hair like we're a different color and playing with it like we're a different color, that's their tradition. That's what we were never like that. As I told my husband when I was young, to put the towel on your head and play as a towel, that was a no-no. So we need to come back to that. That's why I say our Black kings need to honor our Black queens so that we can start to help us to start having confidence in ourselves and start going back to our traditions of who we are, our natural hair. This beautiful Black woman yesterday who I see in the store all the time, she works there as a cashier, and she wears wigs. Well, the other day she had her bald hair sticking out and she was beautiful. And me and my sister commented because it was like we were so used to seeing her with the wig on. It was like, I understand. It'd be like, my hair needs to breathe. And she still had a beautiful personality. She still was beautiful without the hair. She was still the same person. And kudos to her that she is bold enough and feels secure in herself that she don't need that wig. We need to get back to us. And we need your Black Kings to help us to get back to us. You guys need to get back to you guys. To what's here for us, for this, not Caucasian, Chinese, Asian. We need to be gather around us and be us. Okay, I'm gonna let that go because I get so passionate about it. I start babbling on, and my sister Val gonna call me and tell me that I'm babbling and haven't seen you moment. I'm not gonna do that. Okay. So again, thank you for being with me. Keep all the stuff that I told y'all in mind. Reach out to us for whatever. I love you guys. I will see you next Sunday at 6 for chapter 4 reading. Look out for me because I'll probably jump on here somewhere during the week to talk about or babble about something or another. Because like I said, I'm going to be more consistent. So trust me, I'm going to be on here complaining about something. But anyway, until that time, this is T. Hatchett from the Hatchett Chronicles. Peace. I'm out.